going on? Oh, here we go. We are live, guys. Welcome back. Mystar here with another live for you guys. Today I wanted to talk about politics. Politics is a fool's errand, alright? It's a bloody fool's errand. You're a fool if you fall for politics. And I'm going to get right into the nitty-gritties, but I also just want to do, actually, I don't even need to say that, but I kind of wanted to talk about, this is my first time on YouTube. So, this is a little bit different for me. It's kind of weird. Normally, I stream on this app called StreamYard, but you've probably seen the logo in the bottom of the screen. But now I am streaming straight directly from YouTube. I hope you guys can hear me all right, because the microphone down there does not look like it's going too great. But yeah, I'm streaming directly from YouTube. It took me a bit to set it up, but the reason why I wanted to stream directly from YouTube is because it gives me the opportunity to set up my thumbnails. I can do that on StreamYard, but I have to pay. And I had the subscription a while ago, but I ended up not using it that much. So I just decided to use the free version. Anyways, that's besides the point, loves. So, as I was saying, politics is a fool's errand. Now, the reason why I even got onto this topic, I was actually going for a walk today, and I saw, because I've been seeing a whole bunch of shit on, the stores and certain shops. They say, LGBT friendly or LGBT ally, and to me, I just always be looking at that shit. I'm like, what does that really mean? Because for me, as someone who I don't consider myself part of that community. First of all, let me separate myself from all of that. I don't consider myself part of anything to do with gays, none of that shit. I do obviously have attraction to the same sex, but that's regardless of the point. That's none of your business. All right. But it's kind of obvious based on my behaviors. So that's why I even say that, because it's kind of a dead giveaway. Like, if you got half a brain, you'd be able to talk to me, have one conversation. You'd be like, this dude is gay. But I don't like to associate with those terms. I don't like to associate with those certain concepts. But there's reasons to this. There's a few reasons, but one of the main reasons is that I don't like everything that comes with that whole word. That word has a lot of weight to it. That word has a lot of hate to it, regardless of if you're looking at it from a bias or not, if you're looking at it from, oh, gay people are good, gay people are bad, which I don't care what gay people are. I just don't like the word. I don't like what it's become associated with. And I definitely do not like the general concept that is backed and supported behind the gay. Other than that, I like the fact that gay means happy. That's a cool word. That's a cool way of using it. But in Australia here, if you guys grew up in Australia, saying the word gay means stupid. Nowadays, a lot of people say that that's like a bad thing to say. But for me, the fact that someone's already put that energy, put that weight behind that word to say that gay means stupid, I don't want to associate with that, because then what am I, stupid? No, I'm not stupid. I know that I'm not stupid. So regardless of the point, anyways, now that I've got that out of the way, and I've just established where I stand with these kind of concepts, I wanted to get into the topic. So obviously, when I go into stores, being me, I don't go into stores and experience discrimination or bullshit that other people like to say on media, on the news, which is you'll notice a pattern here. A lot of the time, you'll notice a pattern with what I'm saying. A lot of the time, the shit that people experience when it comes to discrimination or some kind of like tit for tat kind of energy, or warlike kind of energies, where one person has an opinion, the other person has a lifestyle, and they clash, or whatever the case may be. But that's a general concept of it. Sorry, guys. The freaking crow is on top of the thing, and it was really annoying me. It's really annoying me, and I don't want him to make that noise. So I'm trying to clap and make noises so that it stops. He seems to have gotten the message slightly. Anyways, Mr. Crow, the visitor. So when it comes to these concepts, I don't experience these concepts or these experiences in my reality. I don't experience them in my world. And I'm rarely ever actually hear any. Actually, I don't think I've ever heard a story of someone experiencing this form of any form of discrimination like that, except for like minor things like when people are at school and they might have a religious teacher, shit like that. But that goes back to the pattern that I was talking about before. It's you're only going to hear it from people who are paying attention to the narrative that people are pushing against that. So whether it comes from the news, whether it comes from the newspaper, whether it comes from a book, whether it comes from the Bible, whether it comes from a religion, it doesn't matter. It's coming from an external source. It's coming from another man's mind. It's coming from another man's concept. And then that person is acting based on the other man's concept that they've just interpreted or inherited. But everybody else who actually experiences in the real world, that actually has real interactions with real people, religious or otherwise, people who watch the news or otherwise, we know that this doesn't happen. People don't just walk up to you and say, sorry, I'm not going to serve you. You're not allowed in my restaurant because you're gay. You know what, guys? Give me 1 second because this bird is annoying. Oh, never mind. It wasn't even the crow. It was a whole group of birds that was so loud. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It didn't seem to be coming up on the mic down there, but I'm not sure. So that threw me off track. Let me get right back on track there, logs. So I'm loving this piece of hair. Anyways, so yeah, like I don't experience people telling me that they won't serve me or that they can't be friends with me because of my sexuality or some shit like that, whichever way you want to look at it. That's not an experience that I've heard or had. And if it was, right, like I was saying before, it was backed and supported by some kind of external source, external man idea coming and being interpreted by someone in the real world. And then that person in the real world starts to act on whatever external concept they just received from someone else. But people who just are out in the world, just living life, we don't go through this. Like it's like even take this beyond the concept of gays, of um anything, because at the end of the day this video is based on politics, but the gays is just um a way for me to explain it from my own subjective point of view, right? But even beyond the gay concept, when do you ever go out into the world and actually experience people just arguing over certain biases? Generally, when it comes to going out in the world, most people want to come on agreeable terms. Most people would rather come to a point where they agree to disagree rather than to carry on a meaningless dispute just because one person has an opinion that's different. So that's the original starting point of the mindset that most people in the real world are in. But when other people who end up watching, consuming a lot of news, reading a lot of newspaper, like whatever it may be that's external to them, those people end up picking up biases from these newspapers, from these news outlets, from these movies, or whatever the heck they may have picked it up from, which is all perpetuated and all put out by the shadow government, by the Freemasons in general. And you can say, oh, the Bible was not put out by the Freemasons, but you have to understand if they are the ones that are in power when it comes to being able to delegate resources or control the resources that are going around, what makes you think that the Bible is any different? The Bible is a resource. The Bible is a book. The Torah is a resource. The Torah is a book. Whatever book you want to look at it, all the way down to Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever, Brahmanism, and you look at who's actually being allowing those books to be in the forefront, who's actually allowing those things to be read. Because if they really went against the template of what the government wants to push, don't you think they wouldn't even allow it in the first place? So this goes to show that whatever is being pushed out on their news media, entertainment outlets, whatever it is, their 5 pillars, their business, um, entertainment, education, religion, and politics. Whatever's being pushed in those 5 pillars is going to be based on the template that they want you to be in, the mind state that they want you to be in. And that's a mind state of bias, being lost into your desires. And I could go on, but basically, they want you to be in a lower animalistic energy. They want you to be in like a divide and conquer spell, like that Tower of Babel kind of concept, where everyone's trying to speak to each other, but they seem to be speaking different languages. Really, the Tower of Babel is just an allegory to people when people are speaking the same language, right? But they're unable to come to a common agreement. And so then they end up feeling like they're speaking 2 different languages. So the Tower of Babel is actually a concept, is actually a divide and conquer spell the shadow government utilizes to keep people separate, because then now one person is babbling and the other person is babbling, but to each individual, they don't look like they're babbling. They feel like they're spitting facts. But regardless, the point is, if you step out and look at both of them, they're both just babbling at each other. So this is the Tower of Babel. If you get lost into a bias created by the news outlets, the media outlets, and you end up arguing for or against something when it comes to like the people you interact with in your real life, you may feel like that you're making a difference in the world, that you're actually helping to change people's mind. But who said, like my video that I posted like yesterday or the day before, who said you had to change anyone's mind? Who said that anyone's mind should be changed? And that concept takes it back again to the whole concepts that we are being fed, being provided by the shadow government, by the European government, by the Freemasons, whatever word you want to use. I don't give a shit. That's probably why they shadow ban me, and probably why I don't get fuck all viewers. Because I'll be spitting shit and not even caring. I'll be literally saying it like the word Freemasons, but I might later on eventually stop or tone it down. But for now, I'm liking this. I'm liking the way my channel's going. I'm enjoying it. All right. So let's, as an example, right? When I was in high school, I'm guilty of this myself. That was why I even come onto this video and talk to you guys about it. Because when I was in high school, I thought that I was being the world's savior by arguing for or against certain shit that's in the news, whether it be for gay people's rights, whether it be for the rights of like black people and indigenous people. And I'm not saying as well that you shouldn't advocate and you shouldn't support these people at the end of the day. But the point of the video is that you do not need to argue or be in a bias to actually support these people. You do not need to get into some kind of emotional state. If anything, we actually don't even need to, like, arguably, we don't even need to talk about some of these things at all. Like, let's be real. When it comes to indigenous people, I'm all for that. I think we should definitely advocate and push for indigenous people. How do I say? I don't want to say rights, but I definitely think we should support and push for indigenous people to be in the forefront, especially of their own country. If you're indigenous to the country that you live on, you should be the natural state of what that country should kind of look like. You're the natural template of how that country should be in a certain concept. Not saying that we should all just follow one concept, one idea. That's getting lost into a bias again. All right. I hope you didn't get lost into that. I hope you didn't get choked up. But when it comes to like looking at it as an overall aspect, the first template, the first idea, the first concept that you should go to is the indigenous concept, the native concept of whatever country and land that you reside on. Then everything should come after that. So any add-ons should come after that. They should be accompanied to the indigenous concepts, the indigenous mind, the indigenous way of living, whatever that may be. And that's not to say we should all go back to living in like out in the wild and not having any houses or whatever it may look like for you when you hear that word indigenous concept. But it's a mentality, it's a way of living, It's a way of thinking and feeling internally. It's about being in touch with the atmosphere and the land around you, being in touch with the energies around you, and not being lost into the physical world, lost into the external influence from another country that is coming in and trying to invade. Because at the end of the day, yes, these things can benefit you. Don't you love living in a house? Don't you love having shelter over your head? Don't you love having a warm water and being able to shower? Like, I freaking love those things. So I'm not about to sit here and say that we shouldn't have those things. But it's about having equilibrium and about knowing each thing and where it should be placed. And if something is from an external source, external country, external whatever, it should be treated as such. It should be treated as external. It shouldn't be treated as something that you take within you. Now you're sitting here having to battle between your inner selves about, oh, well, what about gay people's rights? What about gay marriage? What about what about this thing that's happening overseas that doesn't affect me at all? Because that's just going to put you in more mind states, more mentalities of turmoil. At the end of the day, you live in your own country, you've got your own issues, right? Why should you have to worry about something that's happening externally? We should be able to learn and grow from these things. But for you to sit there and have to worry about it, now you've got an argument with your mum, now you've got a disgruntled relationship with your uncle or your auntie or whatever, whoever the person may be in your family. But the point is, you're now divided. You're divided amongst your own people, your own family, whatever you want to call it. You're divided amongst your community that you have. And now you're fighting for or against something that was perpetuated by the shadow government, by the Freemasons, by Medea. Oh, goddess Medea. Miss Medea. So Medea's got you all caught up in illusion. If you don't know who Medea is the Greek goddess or Roman goddess, whatever the heck it is, of illusion, of some other stuff. But the main one is illusion, right? Deception, illusion. Medea. So she is the template. That character is the template of what media is built off of. It's built to create an illusion. That's why they named it media. They tried to create it as an offshoot, as a child of Medea, of the goddess Medea. But that's besides the point. So when it comes to you looking at these things, that's what I was doing. I was doing an example. So when I was in high school, I thought that I had all the shit, like fighting for or against certain things, like indigenous people, or I don't want to even include indigenous people because we just did that disclaimer before. Opposite. So we just did that disclaimer about the indigenous people. But yeah, now when I was arguing for or against this stuff, I thought that I was helping people, but without looking and actually taking a step outside of my situation and looking at what I'm actually doing. You know what I mean? Because you can think and feel like you're helping people all you want, but if you look at the outside of in looking at the situation, and you realize that you're creating more separation, more disgruntled energy, more hate, more biases, then are you really helping the cause, or you're just perpetuating more bias, more hate, more separation, right? And then on the flip side, I had certain people in school who were religious, who were from a different background than me, had different beliefs, maybe were a little bit stronger in their beliefs. And I didn't ever have issues with a lot of these people. The times when I did have issues, like for example, when it came to my sexuality, they were completely accepting, they were completely loving. And then the times when I did have issues, what do you think those times were? Those were usually times when the news, the media, Medea, the government were trying to push in their news outlets. Like I remember this point in school when we all had to write an essay on whether or not we all agreed with gay marriage. And now all throughout school, I had heaps of people from all different walks of life. If you're born in Australia, you know it's like America. there's every kind of person from every kind of background, like Muslim, Christian, freaking Jewish. Probably not so much Jewish. That's a little bit less known or less common here in Australia. But you get the idea. There's a whole diverse collection of people. Now we are all in school. We pretty much got the hang of being able to commune with each other, communicate with each other, and not cause issues, not cause arguments. Where I had certain people who literally would openly tell me they don't support me for my sexuality or whatever else they might not have supported me for, right? But they were able to come to me in a peaceful manner. They were able to come to me in a calm manner, and I was even able to, be like, okay, cool, like, that's you. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm entitled to my own opinion. Now, can we move on? And what do you think we did? We moved on. You know what I mean? So that's an example of real life scenarios, real life situations that actually point to things being a lot different to how they portray it in the media. Because in the media, they're saying, oh, this percentage of people, this amount of people are against gay marriage, and this amount of people, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the case may be on the news, they're trying to get you into a sentiment. They're trying to get you into an energy as a distraction to divert your attention from what's really going on, which is that they're trying to divide and conquer you. They're trying to get everyone separated so they can all get you guys all together under one collective mind. So now you are you're separated in terms of your beliefs, but you're united because your beliefs all come from that one starting point, that one concept, which is the concept that they started with. They're trying to perpetuate the shadows or whatever the heck. So they're like uniting you under one concept, under one mind, one world order, like type shit. But then they're keeping you separate. So now you don't go to the next person and start to question or start to like learn and grow and expand from each other. Now you're just like, oh no, you'd rather be separate. You'd rather just have your own little corner here and not go out into the world. But if you took the moment to actually go out into the world, you would see that a lot of that shit doesn't happen. So yeah, like I was saying, when it came to them releasing all that shit on the news and making us write an essay on gay marriage because it was relevant to the news, right? Now a whole bunch of people started to have really strong opinions because they were forced to jump into that bias, jump into that energy because they had to write an essay. They didn't. I bet you 9 times out of 10, half of those people they don't want to. They don't sit around thinking about gay people all day, like about how that affects them or about whatever it may be in terms of politics. They don't sit around thinking about that shit. If anything, what do you try and do half the day? You try and think about shit that makes you happy. You try and think about shit that makes you feel good, right? So why would these people, any person, be trying to sit around thinking about whether or not they agree with gay people, whether or not they should like advocate for this or not? No, that doesn't come until they start to put that in the news outlets, in the media, whatever it is. Now you're stuck in that sentiment, into that bias, and you're thinking you have to argue for or against something. Because what is it? Because usually they want you to vote, because they want you to vote for this person or that person, or they want you to sign this petition or that ballot or whatever the heck they call it in government. So it just takes you all the way down to that template of you're still giving them energy in some way, shape, or form. Whether you're paying attention to them with your concepts, saying, "Oh, they should allow this. They shouldn't allow this." Blah blah blah. You're giving them your esoteric currency, your energy, your thoughts, and your feelings. You're giving them your juice, bitch. Stop giving the juice. Fuck that ugly shit. I'm gonna keep all my juice for myself. I'm fucking greedy when it comes to my juice. When it comes to other stuff, I'm real generous. I'm real generous. But when it comes to my juice, I'm gonna put my juice where I think it should be. I'm not about to wait around for someone else to take my juice. No. The fuck. Anyways. So yeah. Now they've got you into that template. Oh, you're arguing for or against something. You're gonna go vote for this and you're gonna go sign this, blah blah blah. Okay, but where does that get you? Because at the end of the day, that just leaves you sitting there arguing for or against something. Now you're pissed off because your vote didn't go through or your vote didn't succeed. But they're the ones that's changing it. They're the ones that's actually perpetuating this. Like they could easily make up a system that's way better, that's way more sufficient for them to be able to run things smoother. But they want you guys into this sentiment. They want you guys in survival mode. Otherwise, the system wouldn't be set up this way. Like, I bet you 9 times out of 10, half of you people that is watching in the audience, if you guys were in government, if you guys were in power, you would do a whole bunch of shit wrong, completely different. So why would that be any different for the politicians that are up there? Obviously, they're not from the same background as you. Obviously, they don't understand what it's like to live in the real world like you do, you know? Otherwise, if they did, they wouldn't be doing half the shit that they're doing. So that just shows you they're either in on it, the politicians, or they're puppets. So regardless of the fact, they're not there for you, no matter if you vote for them or not. Whether you want to believe voting is true or not, which it isn't, it's a whole fad. It's just to get your esoteric juice, like I was saying, so for you to pay attention to them, so you can give them all your thoughts and feelings. And then boom, now we're 500 years down the line and people are still voting for the same shit. 1,000 years down the line, everyone's still voting for the same shit without realizing how many years have everyone had a government over them. Like, why didn't they just change the whole governmental system? Why did we have to vote between a lesser evil? Why couldn't we just vote for the best thing? Like, it makes no sense. Anyways, but yeah, now people in school, going back to that example of everyone in school with the essays, right? Now people in school are arguing for or against something, to the point where I even had certain people message me and tell me that they think that they'd rather see people like me and me dead. And I think that's pretty ridiculous. Like that, um, I mean, not that they wish me dead, because I could care less, but but it is pretty ridiculous, but I could care less about that. But I think it's pretty ridiculous because none of that would have came out had we not been made to write an essay in school, had we not been made to pay attention to a certain news um, story about what about the gay marriage vote. Like, you know what I mean? So it just goes to show that's the template, that's the energy that they're trying to utilize it for. Like, you can say that it went over people's heads or that they interpreted it wrong all you want, but we see the same thing happen every single time voting comes around. Every single time you have to vote for a new law, a new person in parliament, whatever it may be, we see the same thing happening. People getting into biases and people arguing for or against something, people separating, people disconnecting from their own family, people fighting for something that has nothing to do with them, has something to do with how the government is running things. You know, because you can say, oh, well, it has something to do with us because it's to do with our rights. But who's the one that's giving you or taking away those rights? It has nothing to do with you. Like, why would you even involve yourself into something that has nothing to do with you? In fact, saying that on their perspective too, why would they involve themselves in your rights and what you are rightfully allowed to do when that has nothing to do with them and their life? Like, really, there's a million different ways you can go about it that's better than what they do. But having other people decide what you can and can't do with your life and your taxes and your money, your business, whatever it is, how does that make any sense unless they're from a similar background as you and they're actually fighting for shit that's relevant to you? If they're just fighting for shit that, like, at the end of the day, you could care less, or you care a little bit, but you'd rather not even focus on that thing, that's a pretty clear, obvious telltale. Like, you don't care about that shit. They're just making you care about that shit. But anyways, yeah. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, like I just don't know what people are talking about because I always hear shit about how people are like, oh, this X, Y, and Z is happening. X, Y, even like all the way down. This is another example I just thought of. Like a few 5 or 10 years ago, I heard this story about on the news. Everyone was talking about how these like Sudanese, I think it was, or whatever, like this gang was going around and like robbing a whole bunch of people's houses, and then it was like this big thing, right? That everyone should watch out for. But when actual people went out into the real world, a whole bunch of people didn't actually experience that kind of shit. A whole bunch of people actually didn't even witness that kind of shit. In fact, I didn't even hear about the gang. Like I didn't even meet anyone from that specific gang that they were saying that was on the news. It was just like a almost like a rumor, like high school type shit. That's what the news is like to me, honestly. Like people think that the news is like informative and that it tells them about what's happening in the real world. To me, it's just high school bullshit. It's like, oh, did you hear? Blah blah blah, blah blah blah. This happened and this happened. Oh my gosh! Like, bitch, really? Do you think I give a fuck? That's so fucking stupid. But a lot of people won't see it that way, and this probably go a lot over some people's head. But if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about, and you know this is facts. You know this is real shit. This is fucking realer than half the shit. Nah, this is realer than all the shit that they put on the fucking news. And some of the stories in the news might actually have truth to them. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely know that they overinflate things. They definitely overinflate things because otherwise you would see more of it in reality. Why is the news different from reality? Why is the shit that happens in the news different from reality? That makes no fucking sense. The news is supposed to be what's going on in the world. So why, when you go out into your world, your little part of the world, why do you not see that? Because it's fucking not true, bro. So stop fucking getting into politics and news and bullshit like that. It's a bloody fool's errand, mate. It's a bloody fool's errand. And excuse my freaking words, because I'm swearing like a freaking sailor. But I think that's pretty common occurrence on this channel, if you guys have been here before. But yeah, you can just tell the passion I have behind it because I know this is true. I know this is fact. And for people out there that think similar to me, but they don't know how to put it into words, this is for you guys. So now you can actually go out into the world. You can have confidence. You can have conviction in how you think and conviction in how you feel. You know the news is fake. Not like, I'm pretty sure the news is fake, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if I can put the two and two together, like this thought and this thought to correlate with this thought, and then combine them all into a picture. So now I can go out into the world and say, yeah, the news is fake, bitch. No, I'm here as the messenger. I'm here as the messenger. The news is fucking fake. I'm here, bitch. There you go. Sprinkle a dinkle. Alright? So hope you guys enjoyed that little sprinkle, that little ice cream right there. Okay? So yeah, I'm sure there was another part of the topic that I wanted to talk about too. But I think that was pretty much it. Like, yeah, I used to argue all the time, thinking that I was like Superman riding on the motherfucking riding on. What does Superman ride on? Bro, Superman flies over. I thought I was Superman flying over every freaking obstacle, saving the world like a superhero, bitch. In actuality, I was damning myself and I was damning others. So get out of whatever bias that you're in. Take a step back. Realize, am I actually for or against this because this is something that's genuine? This is something that comes from my genuine experiences, my genuine perspective? Or am I just for or against this because someone else perpetuated this idea? Someone else started this rumor. Some other bitch in high school, the news outlet, in news school, in high news, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in high news school, some other bitch was like, Oh my gosh. And now you are sitting there like, oh my gosh, you're a bitch. Oh no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't believe in that. Oh no, that's bad. You should support gay marriage. You should put, bitch, what are you doing to help the world? What are you doing to change the situation of our lives? What is gay marriage actually doing to help support anything or change anything? I'm not for or against it. I could care less. If you want to get married and you're gay, go get married, babes. If you don't want to get married and you're gay, don't get married. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not about to sit here and get lost into a fucking bullshit ass bias that the government tries to put in front of me. Bro, this is so stupid. Like, actually, this is stupid. The fact that people got caught up into this shit, the fact that people, like, even myself, like, that is stupidity at its finest, okay? The fact that people are, like, really out here risking their families, risking their relationship with their besties, like, risking their relationship with their mamas because of a belief, because of a bias. This is why I always talk about on my channel. Get the fuck out of your bias. Stay the fuck out of that shit. That shit is nasty, okay? Because the more you stay into that bias, now you feel like, oh, yeah, things have to be this way. Oh my gosh, if things are not this way, everything will fall apart. Like a golem ass bitch, you little demon. Fuck you. I'm saying that to my own demons and yours. Not you, because you the boss. You ain't shit at the end of the day. You're not your demons or your angels. You ain't shit in the best way possible. And you may think that I'm dissing you, but that's a compliment, alright? Because if you were shit, then you would deteriorate, you would die, you would fall off, you would crock over and freaking die, bitch. But you ain't shit. So what the fuck do? You live, you keep on going on, you keep on pushing, you keep on being you, okay? Don't know where all this passion came from, but I think it's because we're in Scorpio sun, and that's my opposite sign. So now instead of being so chill, calm, and collected like a Tory, I'm like, bitch, I'm here. My Aries rising is coming out. My Aries rising. So yeah, stay out of the biases. Things will be all good. Like, you don't need to get lost into a bias. Like, you can use the bias to teach people, like I'm doing right now. Like, this is an example of how you can use a bias to actually teach people. So you can tell that I have my own personal sentiment, and at the end of the day, you're going to always be looking at things, like I always say, from a subjective perspective, because you're looking at it from your space, your individual space. All right, but when you're able to look at both sides, and see the benefits to both, and see the benefits to having neither, then you're able to step out of that concept, not be in it, because that's why people say you're in a bias. That's why people say in, because you're actually in something in your mind. You're within a bias, and you think that you're looking out at the world. No, you're looking out at the bias that you're in. Bruh, I just freaking scratched my freaking face. The passion was too strong. Yeah, no, you're looking out at the bias that you're in, bitch. And you think you're looking out at the world. You think you're looking out into the world. No, you're looking into your bias. That's all you're looking in, bitch. And that's all you can see. That's why no matter what, when you're in a bias, it just seems like both sides are right. It just seems like both sides have some kind of truth to them. Because it's a bias. That's what happens when you get lost into a bias. When you're not lost into a bias, it doesn't matter which way is right or which way is wrong. You're looking at it from the outside in. You're seeing both sides. You're like above that. You know what I mean? You're outside of it. So you're going to be the one that's able to tell everyone what it is. So it wouldn't be a fact of whether it's wrong or right. It's what is it. It is this. And that's that. You know what I mean? A lot of people might not be able to get that, but a lot of people will be able to get that, and that's on manifestation. So I believe in you guys. But at the end of the day, I could care less. If you want to believe, if you want to listen, then you can listen. I hope you do. But if you don't, I hope you don't too, because at the end of the day, I'm all for doing you. So yeah, when it comes to, like I was saying just before, you're in that bias, right? Two people could be arguing over something and they're both in a bias. So they can only see their bias. They can't even see the other person's side. Even to the point where they'll think that they're looking at the other person's side, but they're still in a bias. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. So now you'll be able to look at debates. Like if I implore anyone as well, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this, go look at a debate now after you watch this video. Go look at a debate and look at like go for the real like biased debate. Don't go for those like kind of debates where they're kind of like more from an unbiased perspective. They're more like arguing over like more factual type of shit or shit that doesn't really have a for or against or a right or a wrong. Look at ones where it's kind of a debate between like what's right and what's wrong, what you should be for and what you should be against. Every single time, it does not matter. They will always look like both people are arguing right. They'll both look like they're bringing across fair points, right? But they'll also both look like they're bullshit. They literally both look like they're bullshit. And you can find holes in both of their sides. You can find holes in both of their arguments because they're in a bias. They're not able to see the full picture. They're not able to look and step outside of whatever they're in. They're not able to see it for what it is. See all aspects of it. Fucking triangle bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. They're not able to see all aspects of it, right? See all areas and correlate things to like whatever that may be. They're just like, oh no, you should do this and this is wrong because of this. But anyone can argue that this is wrong because of this, and then anyone can argue that it's actually right because of the reason that you said it was wrong. Yeah, that may be bullshit right there, what I just said, but who cares? Now you know. I called myself out on it. But anyways, yeah, I guarantee you can find holes in both of their arguments, and you may as well. I want to do this as a little side note. You may be able to find, oh yeah, no, actually, yeah, I can see what you're saying, but also this person seems more right than the other person. But like, so I will give grace for that because like there will be a side that seems more agreeable than the other one. But at the end of the day, they both have holes. They both don't have anything substantial behind them because they're still coming from an emotional space, preaching out of their emotion, right? This is why I wanted to do this thumbnail that I did for the video because the cliff is a representation of like that stability, that earthly quality, right? Being able to be stable, practicalized, make sense out of the world around you, right? But then because it's on a cliff, it's hanging over the water. And what does the water represent? The water represents your emotions, all right? So this is how the shadow government likes to get you guys caught up in shit. They like to play on your emotions, play on your waters. So you fall off the cliff into the waters, and now you're like drowning in your emotion. You're drowning in this bias that they've given you. And you're drowning in this energy like, oh no, like I need to fight for this right. I need to fight for this like thing going on in the world. I need to fight. But who said that you had to fight? Arguably, there's a time and a place for everything. You know, there's certain times where you might need to fight. There's certain times where you might need to be peaceful, right? But for you to feel like you need to constantly fight for shit, where is that concept coming from? And also, where are the concepts that are being fought for or against coming from? It all leads to the people who perpetuate the media, perpetuate the news, perpetuate the Bible, perpetuate your education system. It all leads back to those beings, right? It all leads back to those people who really just and that's that. They're people. They're not anything special. They're not some kind of magical authority that knows better than you. They like to think that they are. They're just people, and they want other people to be lost into their sentiment, into their concept, so that now you're just feeding into their world, right? Because what happens when you pay attention to someone and give them all your thoughts and feelings? You start to give them your juice. And what happens when someone gets juice, right? The juice is plump. It's going to ripen you up, bitch. It's going to make you feel satisfied. It's going to make you feel fulfilled. It makes you feel all types of good shit. Makes you feel those kind of energies, those satisfying kind of energies. So that just goes to show what they're actually trying to get. They're trying to get that sense of fulfillment. They're trying to get you to fulfill their space, their world, their concepts, their mind with everything that they want. And that's that on that. So why the fuck would you get lost into politics? Politics is a fool's errand, all right, love? Don't get lost. It's a fool's errand. And if you do, then that's on you at this point, after you watch this video, of course. If you do and you haven't watched this video, then, you know, you're going to get a little bit of grace. You're going to get quite a bit of grace, actually. But if you do and you watch this video, that's on you, all right? So I hope you can take that. No, I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, it's your life. So yeah, peace, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. And we're not talking about pieces, okay? We're talking about one whole piece. One whole gigantic piece that's unified, that's all together. It's not separate. It's not in like turmoil energies. It's not arguing for or against something. It's not lost into a bias. It's just one whole piece, right? It's just one whole piece. It's like the One Piece. Yeah, the One Piece. That show, yeah, the One Piece. Yeah, the One Piece. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I did that, but I hope you guys enjoy. Like, this almost turned into a freestyle live, the freestyle Aganza. All right, guys, latest.